For over 25 years, librarians have been celebrating Banned Books Week, an annual event sponsored by the American Library Association, the American Booksellers Association, the Association of American Publishers, and other book-loving groups. It is not celebrated in a big way in Australia, but I believe it is a brilliant opportunity for library professionals and teachers to promote reading and to celebrate our democratic freedom to read whatever books we desire. In terms of reluctant readers, I would recommend encouraging them to read challenged books, as these are often the books with the big ideas, the passionate views, and the strong themes that can really hook readers into loving the power of a good book. Banned Books Week was launched in the United States in 1982 in response to an increase in the number of challenges to books. Held at the end of September every year, it really celebrates the importance of free and open access to information. Banned Books Week draws attention to the dangers of censorship and brings together the book-loving communities of the world. According to the American Library Association, more than 11,300 books have been challenged since 1982. The ALA's Office of Intellectual Freedom compiles a top 10 list each year of the most frequently challenged books. Captain Underpants was on the top of the list in 2013. The reasons this series was challenged was for offensive language, unsuited to age group, and violence. In 2002, the principal at Maple Hill School in Connecticut removed the Captain Underpants books from the school library, claiming that some boys were starting to behave like the two characters in the book. In this era of the internet and Amazon and Booktopia, it is pretty easy to get your hands on just about any book. But it is important to reflect on the past when large numbers of books were effectively removed by authorities and were unable to be read by the public. Books have been censored, banned, and even burned throughout history for all sorts of reasons: obscenity, racism, pro-civil rights, anti-war, anti-government, homosexuality, to name just a few reasons. Authors have been harassed, imprisoned, and even killed. Such is the power of the written word. Many books we now consider classics were initially met with much resistance from certain groups in society. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was considered obscene. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was banned for being sensual. Madame Bovary was banned for offences against public morals. George Orwell's Animal Farm was banned in the USSR and is still banned in Cuba and North Korea. He may be one of the most popular authors in the world, but Roald Dahl's books are never far from controversy. Matilda was deemed offensive because the presentation of neglectful, abusive parents could be harmful to children. James and the Giant Peach was banned for mysticism, profanity, references to tobacco and alcohol, and claims that it promoted disobedience, drugs, and communism. The Witches, not surprisingly, was challenged for promoting witchcraft, and even the Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory weren't safe, challenged with being racist. Recently in Australia, the Aldi supermarket chain removed Roald Dahl's revolting rhymes from its shelves after a customer complained of the inappropriate language. Tango Makes Three is consistently on the top 10 challenged books list. This gentle picture book was inspired by the true story of two male chinstrap penguins, Roy and Silo, in the Central Park Zoo in New York, who were inseparable. When a penguin couple laid 2 fertile eggs, one was given to Roy and Silo, and the zoo workers let nature take its course. Roy and Silo sat on the egg, shared the parenting duties, and raised a healthy penguin named Tango. There is no mention of homosexuality or reproduction in the story, and the message is that there are all kinds of families, and the most important thing is that everyone in the family loves each other. The Harry Potter series has been challenged by American Christian groups for glorifying witchcraft and encouraging children to experiment with witchcraft. One of the most publicised protests was in South Carolina in 1999, when a group of parents tried to persuade the Board of Education to remove the books from school libraries due to the serious tone of death, hate, lack of respect, and sheer evil. This protest inspired others in California, Georgia, Colorado, and Washington, with some parents choosing to pull their children out of school rather than risk reading a Harry Potter book. As of 2015, 450 million copies of the books have been sold, effectively making the series the most successful book series in history. When Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was published in 2007, the book sold 11 million copies in the first 24 hours of its release. The books have been translated into 73 languages. Author Maurice Sendak spent 4 years arguing with editors over the content of Where the Wild Things Are before winning out. The book went to print in 1967, was immediately banned, and then went on to win dozens of awards, including the Caldecott Medal for the Most Distinguished American Picture Book. Sendak said he was betraying the childhood he remembered, one filled with boredom, fear and loss. Sendak's childhood was shaped by the Lindbergh baby kidnapping, the concentration camp deaths of most of his family, and parents consumed by depression and rage. He stated that he would never write children's books about rainbows and sunshine because that's not real life. The central character, Max, is basically naughty, so not a good role model, gets sent to his room with no supper for throwing a tantrum, bad parenting, then goes off on an imaginary world and has a great time. Psychologists at the time of publication deemed the book too dark and frightening and possibly psychologically damaging for 3- and 4-year-old children. When In the Night Kitchen hit the banned books list due to desensitising children to nudity, some librarians added pants or diapers to little Mickey to cover up his tiny, innocent, bare parts. Sendak was outraged by the brouhaha around his book, stating that he had never heard any complaints from children themselves. As far as we know, said Sendak, children are pleased with their bodies. In 2002 in Texas, a federal judge ruled that the library petition against Heather Has Two Mummies and Daddy's Roommate had the intent to suppress. Library staff applauded the decision, saying it put the responsibility for censoring children's books on the parents, where it should be. One-time vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin criticised Michael Wilholtz's book in 1995 and pressured the city of Wasilla's library to remove it from the shelves, eventually firing the librarian who refused to do so. The librarian was reinstated after public pressure. It's a petty reason, I know, but this hilarious book by William Cotswinkle and Glenn Murray about a dog with a really bad gas but a really loving family was challenged for the repeated use of the words fart and farting. It was one of my youngest daughter's favourite books for many years, and one that is always met with a laugh at the library. Books are usually challenged with the best of intentions, namely protecting the innocence of children. But, as Schleijman points out, every book has the potential to offend somebody, and there is no truly safe choice. Choosing books for children to read is a powerful and empowering act, and one that librarians must take very seriously. Books can open the reader's eyes and greatly broaden their understanding of the world they live in. What challengers forget is that by challenging a book, they are attempting to determine what other people's children should read. Some picture books you just know are going to offend many parents. And you also kind of presume that the authors quite like doing so. Babette Cole is certainly one such author. The controversy over the book Heather Has Two Mummies was parodied in the 2006 Captain Underpants and the Preposterous Plight of the Purple Potty People. In the story, the school librarian, Miss Singerbrains, invites the two main characters, George and Harold, to read the book Mummy Has Two Heathers. There have been over 5,000 challenges reported to the Office of Intellectual Freedom during the decade 2000 to 2009. Sexually explicit material is the most common offence, closely followed by offensive language, then unsuitable to age group, violence and homosexuality. Other challenges are due to occult or satanic themes, religious viewpoints and anti-family. The challenges mainly occurred in school libraries, school classrooms and public libraries, but there were also challenges to materials in colleges and academic libraries. Parents are by far the most vocal challengers of all reading material. Banned Book Week is a great opportunity for library professionals to spread the word about the principles of intellectual freedom and the right to access information. And while stamping a book with a challenged or banned sticker is often a one-way ticket to the bestseller list, it is still vital that censorship attempts are monitored. It is also vital that librarians and teachers fully understand the principles of intellectual freedom and their professional responsibility to uphold these principles. However, in the face of an irate parent, this takes courage and a really good challenge policy. All staff should be aware of the policies and procedures that must take place if a challenge occurs. In Australia, staff should adhere to the Australian Library Information Association Statement on Free Access to Information in regards to supporting the equitable rights of citizens to information regardless of race, age, gender, religion, disability, lifestyle choice, or social viewpoint. Also included in the ALIA statement is the importance of developing policies regarding access to information, irrespective of the controversial nature of the information, and catering for interest in contemporary issues without promoting or suppressing particular beliefs.